The farm had been abandoned for almost 20 years. Locals whispered about it whenever the subject came up in the general store, but no one dared walk beyond the rusted gate. The house sat like a skeleton on the hill, its windows broken, roof half-caved, and the chicken coop at the back overgrown with weeds. People said the last owner had walked out one night and never returned, leaving everything behind as if time itself had stopped. To most, it was cursed land. But to Nathaniel Carter, a poor farmer with nothing left to lose, it was an opportunity. He'd lost his own farm 3 months earlier when drought withered the crops and debt collectors circled like vultures. His wife, Sarah, had packed what little they owned and taken their 2 children back east to her parents. Nathaniel had stayed, ashamed to face them empty-handed, determined to find another way. When the county clerk announced that the old Barker farm was being given away to anyone willing to work it, Nathaniel signed the papers before anyone else could. Free land, the clerk had said, sliding the deed across the counter. Free, but haunted by its past. Nathaniel didn't believe in ghosts. He believed in soil, sweat, and second chances. The day he arrived, the late summer sun hung low, painting the dry fields with bronze light. His boots crunched over gravel as he crossed the yard, eyes fixed on the farmhouse. The front door was open, creaking slightly in the wind, like the house itself was breathing. Dust coated everything inside. Plates still sat on the table, cups overturned as if breakfast had been interrupted and never resumed. A faded dress hung from a nail near the bedroom door. Nathaniel ran his hand over the wood, wondering what had really driven the Barkers away. Behind the house stood the chicken coop, sagging but still intact. The wire mesh was bent and the little door hung crooked. Nathaniel hesitated. Of all the stories he'd heard in town, the worst began with that coop. That's where they found the blood, an old man had told him once, lowering his voice. And not a drop belonging to a chicken. Nathaniel had laughed at the time, but now, standing in the twilight, the memory tightened in his chest. He pushed the door open. Hinges screeched and a cloud of dust swirled up. Inside, the ground was layered with old straw, damp and moldy. The smell of decay clung to the air. He expected silence, but instead he heard a faint scuffling sound, like claws scraping against wood. His hand went instinctively to the lantern he carried. He lifted it, casting yellow light across the walls. At first, nothing. Just the rotted nesting boxes and cobwebs hanging like curtains. Then he saw it. In the far corner, half buried under straw, something glinted. He knelt, brushing the straw away, and his fingers touched cold metal. He pulled it free. It was a small box, iron-bound, heavy for its size. Rust covered the hinges, but the lid had been forced open at some point, leaving the latch twisted. Inside lay coins. Dozens of them. Dull gold but unmistakably valuable. Nathaniel's breath caught. His heart hammered against his ribs as he held one up to the lantern. The coin was old, older than anything he'd ever seen, the surface etched with strange symbols he didn't recognize. Not numbers, not letters, something else entirely. He turned it over. On the back, a crude engraving of a bird. No, not just any bird. A rooster, standing tall, wings spread. Nathaniel frowned. What kind of coin bore a rooster? His fingers tingled as he touched it, a faint warmth pulsing from the metal as if it were alive. He shoved the coin back into the box, his hands trembling. That's when he heard it. A soft cluck. Nathaniel froze, lantern light swinging across the coop. The sound came again, louder this time from right beside him. He turned slowly. In the empty nesting box sat a single chicken, or what looked like one. Its feathers gleamed unnaturally white, glowing faintly in the dim light. Its eyes locked onto his, unblinking, too intelligent. Then it opened its beak and let out a sound that chilled Nathaniel's blood. Not a cluck, not a squawk, but words. You shouldn't be here. Nathaniel staggered back, nearly dropping the lantern. The chicken, or whatever it was, stood, its form shifting in the flickering light, feathers rippling like smoke. The box of coins slipped from his grasp, spilling across the straw with a metallic chime. The creature's eyes flicked to the scattered treasure, then back to him. Leave, before they come. Nathaniel stumbled out of the coop, gasping for air, his mind reeling. Behind him, the voice echoed once more, softer now, almost sorrowful. It's already too late. The lantern shook in his hand as he backed toward the farmhouse. The night had grown darker, the air colder. He clutched one of the fallen coins still in his fist, unable to let go. Its warmth pulsed stronger now in rhythm with his heartbeat. He knew in that moment that whatever secrets this farm held, They were bound to those coins, and to that impossible creature in the coop. And Nathaniel Carter, poor farmer with nothing left, realized he had stepped into a story far larger than himself. Nathaniel didn't sleep that night. He lay on the old mattress in the farmhouse, staring at the cracked ceiling, while the wind pressed against the shutters. The coin he had carried from the coop sat on the table beside him, glowing faintly in the lamplight, as if mocking him. He told himself it was just his imagination, the exhaustion of a man who'd worked too many hard years. Chickens didn't talk, coins didn't pulse with warmth, and yet every time he closed his eyes he heard that voice again. Leave, before they come. When dawn finally broke, pale and cold, Nathaniel forced himself outside. The farm looked ordinary in the morning light. Run down, yes, but not cursed. The coop stood quietly at the back, innocent in its decay. He considered walking away, abandoning the land before it consumed him like it had the Barkers. But then his gaze returned to the coin. He had nothing left in life, no family beside him, no farm to call his own. This was his chance, maybe his last one. He pocketed the coin and decided to clean the coop. If he could face whatever was in there, maybe he could reclaim the place. His boots sank into the straw as he entered. No glowing bird, no voice, just the lingering smell of damp and the iron box lying where he had dropped it. The coins inside were dull again, their light gone, as if mocking him for his fear. Nathaniel gathered them quickly, stuffing the box into his satchel. His plan was simple: sell one or two, enough to buy tools and seed. No one needed to know where they came from. But when he touched the latch, he noticed something carved into the underside of the lid. Faint letters burned into the wood. He held it up to the light. The words read, "Not payment, not treasure, warning." His stomach knotted. Who had left that message? One of the Barkers? Someone before them? He closed the lid and stepped back. The ground beneath the nesting boxes seemed disturbed, softer than the rest of the floor. He dropped to his knees, digging with his hands. Within minutes he uncovered a second container, this one smaller, wrapped in rotted cloth. Inside was a folded paper, edges blackened with age. Nathaniel unfolded it carefully. It was a letter, written in hurried script. To whoever finds this, do not trust the birds. They are not what they seem. The coins draw them, feed them. The more you take, the closer they come. I have buried what I could. If you value your soul, burn this place and never return. The letter ended without a name. Nathaniel's skin prickled. He glanced around the coop, suddenly certain that unseen eyes were watching him. His hand tightened around the lantern handle, ready to swing it at the slightest movement. But nothing stirred, only silence, thick as a shroud. He stuffed the letter into his pocket and hurried outside, gulping fresh air. The morning sun had risen higher now, bathing the farm in golden light. For a moment he allowed himself to believe it was just superstition. People had always told stories about abandoned places. Maybe the Barkers were unlucky, maybe desperate. Maybe the letter was nothing more than madness written by a man driven insane by isolation. Still, he couldn't shake the words. Do not trust the birds. Nathaniel sat on the porch that afternoon, staring at the horizon, the weight of the box at his side, the coin burning in his pocket, and the memory of that voice haunted him. He knew others would want to hear his story, just as you are listening now. And before we go deeper, take a moment. If this tale has gripped you so far, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what comes next. And tell me in the comments, from where in the world are you watching this story? It's always incredible to know how far these tales travel. That evening, Nathaniel tried to busy himself with repairs around the house. He patched holes in the roof, swept the dust from the floors, even fixed a broken window. But no matter what he did, his mind circled back to the coop. The silence there seemed too heavy, as if the walls themselves held breath. At twilight, he couldn't resist. He lit his lantern and returned once more. The chickens should have been long gone, predators or time claiming them. Yet as he approached, a sound drifted through the dusk. Clucking, soft, steady, unmistakable. He froze. Peering inside, he saw them. Half a dozen chickens scattered across the straw, scratching, pecking, behaving like any ordinary flock. But Nathaniel knew they hadn't been there in the morning. His chest tightened. Slowly, he stepped inside, lantern casting long shadows. The birds moved lazily, unconcerned by his presence. Too unconcerned. One by one they raised their heads, turning in perfect unison to look at him. Their eyes gleamed like polished coins, reflecting the lantern light in unnatural brilliance. Nathaniel's hand went to his pocket, where the single coin still pulsed against his thigh. The chickens' heads tilted, following the movement. Then, as if on command, they spoke, not in clucks, not in squawks, but in words that made his blood run cold. "Give it back." The voice wasn't one, but many, layered together, echoing in the small wooden coop. Nathaniel stumbled backward, nearly dropping the lantern. His heart pounded as he realized the truth. The coins weren't treasure at all. They were a bond, a tether, and by touching them, he had invited something into his life that would not let him go easily. As he backed out of the coop, the chorus of voices rose, overlapping, insistent. "Give it back. Give it back. Give it back." Nathaniel fled into the night, clutching the satchel of coins tight against his chest, too afraid to release them, too terrified to keep them. The farm was no longer just abandoned land. It was a trap, and he had stepped willingly inside. Nathaniel didn't return to the coop the next morning. He couldn't. The memory of those glowing eyes and the chorus of voices still rattled in his chest. Instead, he tried to distract himself with the land. He walked the fields, tested the soil, even marked where he might plant corn if he survived long enough to try. But every time the wind shifted, carrying the faint smell of straw and feathers, his stomach twisted. The satchel of coins lay hidden under the floorboard in the farmhouse. He thought of burying it outside, but something deep inside whispered that once you touched the coins, they never really left you. By afternoon, the sound of approaching hooves broke the uneasy silence. Nathaniel turned to see a rider cresting the hill, a woman tall in the saddle with sharp eyes that seemed to weigh him before she even spoke. She dismounted with practiced grace and tied her horse to the fence. "Name's Clara Maddox," she said, extending a gloved hand. "I run the farm just east of here. Been watching this place for years. Never thought anyone would take it." Nathaniel hesitated, then shook her hand. Her grip was strong, her expression unreadable. "Name's Nathaniel Carter. They said it was free land. Figured I had nothing left to lose." Clara's eyes narrowed slightly. "Free usually comes with a price." They sat on the porch, the sun sinking low. Clara told him the stories that circulated in town, how the Barkers vanished overnight, how a family before them had done the same. "Always starts the same way," she said. "Strange lights in the coop, odd noises at night, coins turning up where they shouldn't. Folks say it ain't natural. Some claim it's the land cursed, others swear it's worse." Nathaniel stiffened. "You've seen these coins?" Clara reached into her jacket and pulled out a small cloth bundle. She unfolded it carefully, revealing a coin identical to his own, etched with the rooster, symbols twisting like they wanted to crawl off the surface. "Found it buried in my chicken coop 3 years ago," she said quietly. "Since then, nothing's been the same. My hens stopped laying. My farm hands left one by one, swearing they heard whispers in the dark. I buried the coin far from the house, but I can still feel it, like it wants to be found." Nathaniel's breath caught. He leaned closer. "Have you heard them speak?" Clara's face hardened. "So, you've heard it too. Then it's already too late for you." Before Nathaniel could respond, a sound drifted across the fields. Clucking, dozens of birds in unison, louder than any ordinary flock. Clara's eyes darted to the coop. The noise grew sharper, harsher, until it no longer resembled birds at all but voices chanting the same words Nathaniel had heard. "Give it back." Clara rose, her hand going to the pistol at her hip. "They know you have more," she said. "They can smell it." The coop door slammed open, though no wind stirred. Inside, feathers swirled like a storm. Nathaniel grabbed his lantern and Clara followed as he stepped closer. The birds were gone, vanished, but the coins he'd hidden under the floor were no longer safe. He felt it in his chest, a pull, as though invisible strings were tugging at him, drawing him toward the coop. Clara caught his arm. "Listen to me. You need to understand this isn't about gold. It never was. Those coins aren't treasure. They're bait. Something uses them to lure people here, to keep us tied to this place. And if we don't let them go, they'll take more than just our farms. They'll take us." Nathaniel shook his head. "Then why not burn them? Destroy them?" Her eyes darkened. "Tried. Fire won't touch them. Hammer won't break them. They don't belong to this world." The air grew colder. Nathaniel's lantern flickered. Shadows lengthened unnaturally across the yard, bending toward the coop as if sucked into a void. Then, from the darkness inside, a shape emerged. A tall figure cloaked in feathers that shimmered like molten gold. face hidden beneath a mask shaped like a rooster's beak. Its voice, when it spoke, was not one but many, layered and terrible. You were warned. Clara drew her pistol and fired. The bullet vanished before it struck, swallowed by the air. The figure didn't flinch. Nathaniel clutched the satchel instinctively, though he hadn't moved it from the house. Somehow he knew the creature could feel it, could sense the coins like blood in water. The figure lifted one feathered hand, and the earth beneath the coop shuddered. A chorus of clucks erupted, deafening now, reverberating across the farm. Nathaniel fell to his knees, covering his ears. Clara staggered back, firing again and again, but the bullets vanished all the same. "Stop!" Nathaniel shouted, his voice barely audible over the cacophony. "What do you want from me?" The figure tilted its head, feathers rippling. The voices spoke in unison. "Return what was stolen, or join those who vanished." Nathaniel's blood ran cold. The Barkers, the family before them, they hadn't just left. They'd been taken. Clara grabbed his arm, dragging him toward her horse. "We can't fight it. Not like this. There's a way, but it's dangerous." "What way?" Nathaniel gasped. She mounted swiftly, pulling him up behind her. "There's an old church foundation north of here. People say the first settlers built it before they disappeared. If there's any hope of ending this, it's there. That's where the answers are." As the horse thundered across the darkening fields, Nathaniel glanced back. The figure still stood by the coop, unmoving, feathers glowing like embers in the night. And though distance grew between them, Nathaniel could still hear the voices, softer now but relentless, echoing in his mind. "Give it back. Give it back. Give it back." The ride to the old church foundation was long, but neither Nathaniel nor Clara dared slow. The night pressed around them, heavy and unnatural, the air alive with whispers that didn't belong to wind. Every time Nathaniel's hand brushed the satchel, the coins inside seemed hotter, as if the voices were pulsing through the metal itself. He wanted to throw them into the dirt, leave them behind, but instinct screamed that if he did, the creatures would come for him faster. They reached the valley near midnight. The moon was high, silver light washing over the crumbling stones of what had once been a church. All that remained were the low walls of the foundation and the remnants of a tower, jagged like broken teeth against the sky. Clara dismounted first, pistol still in hand, though both of them knew bullets were useless. "This is where it started," she whispered. "The first settlers built this place for prayer, but something else answered." Nathaniel slid from the horse, clutching the satchel. The ground here felt wrong, soft as if hollow beneath. Weeds grew thick between the stones, yet none dared cross the foundation itself, leaving the interior eerily bare. As they stepped into the ruins, the air turned cold enough that Nathaniel's breath misted in front of him. At the center of the foundation lay a single stone slab marked with an X, deep and deliberate. Clara knelt, brushing away dirt with her hand. "This is it. Whatever truth there is, it's beneath here." Nathaniel helped her pry the slab loose with a rusted iron bar they'd brought from the farm. With a groan, the stone shifted, revealing a cavity beneath. Inside was another box, larger than the one from the coop, sealed with iron bands blackened with age. Clara's hands trembled as she reached for it. The moment her fingers touched the lid, the night erupted. A deafening chorus of clucks and screeches echoed through the valley. Shadows poured across the ground, feathers swirling from the darkness, as if torn from unseen wings. From every side, shapes emerged. Tall, cloaked figures with rooster masks, their eyes glowing gold. They ringed the ruins silently, dozens of them, their presence suffocating. Nathaniel stumbled back, clutching the satchel. "What do they want from us?" Clara's voice shook, but she forced the words out. "Not gold. Worship. The coins aren't treasure, they're offerings. Every settler who touched them was marked, claimed. That's why they vanished." The cloaked figures stepped closer, their voices speaking as one. "Return the offering, join the covenant, or be consumed." Nathaniel's chest tightened. He thought of Sarah, of his children far to the east, of how he'd failed them once already. He couldn't die here nameless, swallowed like the Barkers, but he couldn't give up the coins either. Their weight promised survival, a second chance. Clara ripped the satchel from his grasp. "We can't keep them, don't you see? That's what they want, to trap us like the others." She hurled the satchel into the open cavity with the iron-bound box. The coins clattered loudly, echoing against stone. For a moment the figures froze, heads tilting in unison. Then slowly, they began to chant. The sound was rhythmic, guttural, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The box within the cavity glowed, faint at first, then brighter, until the entire ruin was bathed in golden light. The slab stones vibrated. Nathaniel shielded his eyes as the chanting grew louder, unbearable, pressing against his skull. Suddenly the ground split. A column of fire shot upward, feathers and ash swirling within. The figures bowed, arms raised, as though worshipping what rose from the earth. Nathaniel dared a glance and saw it, a creature unlike anything human or bird. Wings of molten gold, body vast and shadowed, face hidden behind a beaked mask, too large for any living thing. Its eyes burned like suns. When it spoke, the valley itself shook. "You are chosen." The words drove Nathaniel to his knees. Clara fought to stay standing, her pistol useless in her trembling hand. "No," she shouted. "We will not serve you." The creature extended a wing. Coins spilled from the air like rain, striking the ground with metallic chimes. Each coin shimmered with that cursed rooster emblem, spreading across the valley in impossible numbers. Nathaniel clutched his head. Images filled his mind. Settlers kneeling before the creature, coins pressed into their palms, then into their mouths until they choked. Farmers lured with promises of wealth only to vanish, leaving behind farms that rotted. The truth slammed into him. The coins weren't currency. They were seeds. Seeds of a covenant with this monstrous being, binding each who touched them to servitude. The voices of the cloaked figures swelled. "Serve, serve, serve." Clara grabbed Nathaniel's arm. "We have one chance. The fire, it's not worship. It's a gate. If we seal it, maybe we can end this." "How?" Nathaniel shouted over the roar. She thrust the pistol into his hand. "Not with bullets. With faith. This was once a church. We use its ruins to break the covenant. Together." She seized his hand, pressing it against the cracked foundation stone. "Say it with me." Nathaniel's throat was raw, but he forced the words as she chanted, "This ground is no longer yours. This covenant is broken." The creature roared, wings lashing, coins flying like shrapnel. The figures staggered, their chant faltering. Clara screamed the words louder, dragging Nathaniel's voice with hers. The slab stones beneath them glowed, then split. The golden fire imploded, sucking the coins back into the earth with a sound like 1,000 bells shattering. The cloaked figures screamed as their bodies dissolved into feathers and ash. The creature shrieked, a sound that split the sky. Then it was gone, dragged back into the earth as the slab slammed shut. Silence crashed down on the valley, broken only by Nathaniel's ragged breathing. He collapsed beside Clara, the pistol slipping from his hand. The coins were gone. The figures were gone. But the ruins still pulsed faintly, as if waiting. Clara's voice trembled. "It isn't finished. We stopped it tonight, but it'll come back. Unless we destroy the rest." Nathaniel's heart sank. He thought of the coop, of the farms, of every coin scattered across the land. This wasn't over. Not yet. Dawn crept over the valley, pale light touching the broken stones of the church foundation. Nathaniel sat slumped against the wall, every muscle trembling from exhaustion. Clara leaned nearby, face drawn, her pistol resting uselessly on the ground. The golden fire was gone, the chanting silenced, but the weight of what they had faced clung to them like smoke after a storm. For the first time in years, Nathaniel felt the warmth of sunlight on his skin without dread. Yet peace did not come. The slab at the center of the ruins still pulsed faintly, as if the creature's breath lingered beneath. He knew it was only sleeping, not destroyed. "We ended it here," Clara said hoarsely, brushing dust from her hands. "But the farm..." Nathaniel closed his eyes. He pictured the coop, the coins, the voice that had warned him. He realized something chilling. The chicken that spoke had not been a threat. It had been a warning, perhaps the last remnant of those who had been consumed before him. Not all who touched the coins were taken willingly. Some resisted, and maybe their souls had been trapped in the forms of those unnatural birds. They rode back in silence. The farm lay still, the coop sagging in the morning light. Nathaniel dismounted, his legs weak, and walked slowly to the door. Inside, only feathers remained, scattered across the straw. The satchel of coins was gone, as if pulled back into the earth itself. He should have felt relief, but instead an emptiness gnawed at him. Clara placed a hand on his shoulder. "Leave this place, tear it down if you must. But don't stay. You've seen what waits under the soil." Nathaniel stared at the house, its windows like empty eyes. He thought of his wife and children so far away, waiting for a letter that might never come. He had dreamed of building a life here, of proving himself. Now he saw the truth. No man could build a future on cursed ground. "I'll leave," he whispered, "but I won't forget, and I won't let others fall into the same trap." Clara nodded. "Then we tell the story, not to frighten, but to warn. That's the only way this ends." Weeks later, Nathaniel stood in the crowded square of the nearest town. Dusty faces turned toward him as he told the tale of the Barkers, of the coins, of the coop, of the night at the church foundation. Some laughed, calling it superstition. Others crossed themselves, whispering prayers. But all listened, and that was enough. The county clerk eventually stripped Nathaniel of his claim to the farm. He didn't fight it. He took work in town, rebuilding fences, hauling lumber, anything that kept food in his belly while he saved for the chance to reunite with his family. At night, though, he often woke in a cold sweat, hearing the voices in his dreams. "Give it back. Give it back." Clara visited sometimes, checking the edges of the valley, ensuring no coins resurfaced. She became his ally in silence, the only one who truly believed. Together they watched, waited, and wondered how long the seal at the church foundation would hold. And so, dear listener, the story of Nathaniel Carter does not end with riches or glory, but with a warning. Some treasures are not meant to be taken, some coins are not meant to be spent, and some voices, no matter how soft, echo long after the night has passed. Before we close, I want to ask you, if this tale has held you captive until the end, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss the next story. And tell me down below in the comments, from where in the world are you watching this? It's always powerful to see these stories travel far beyond the farm and valley where they began. On quiet nights, Nathaniel still walked the edges of the old road, staring at the hill where the farm lay in ruins. The coop had collapsed, the house little more than bones. Yet sometimes, when the wind shifted just right, he swore he heard them again, the faint cluck of chickens, rising together, like a chorus carried on the breeze. He would stop, close his eyes, and clutch the cross his daughter had given him years ago. He prayed the seal would hold, that the coins would stay buried, that no desperate soul, poor and broken like him, would ever again stumble into the trap of that cursed land. But deep down, Nathaniel knew the truth. It was only a matter of time.